Hello, good evening, and this is not David Frost. This is, in fact, the Chelsea Football Fancast, and I am Stamford Chidge, and this is the lovely Sophie Rose.
Hi, everyone.
Aren't I lucky to get to present the show with something as lovely as this?
Aren't I lucky to present the show with something as lovely as this?
I didn't pay her to say that.
Three of you.
Honestly, I did not pay her to say that. I really did not pay her to say that. But it sounds like I did, doesn't it? Anyway, no, it's lovely to be here with all of you tonight,
indeed.
particularly to have Dan back on the show, who always talks so much sense.
Hello. Lovely to be here.
Good to see you, particularly when he's been spluttering away all evening. And Dan, as we've already established, the Kurt Zuma of the Chelsea Fancast, the latest...
Zuma!
Just,
Zuma.
you know, but it just shows,
Silver.
you know...
Silver.
It just shows that you can sit on the benches, you do your hard yards on the benches, and then one day your dream of being on a show with Sophie Rose can come true.
Well, can I just say, just on the Zuma...
Yes.
Subject, if we are there. If any of you do watch my channel, Chelsea Fans channel, we do loads of interviews after the game. It is. And there was one kid, and normally I don't interview kids that are this intelligent at their age.
I haven't seen this, but I did hear about this.
I don't know how old he was, probably, 10, 11, whatever, but maybe even a little bit younger, I'm not sure. But his name was Adam. And if you're watching, Adam, hello. If I'm not sure if you are. But
he generally be. I don't want them all watching your lot every week.
He generally was one of the best people that, actual people that I've ever interviewed for my channel ever. He was so intelligent.
Is it your channel?
Well,
I bet you say that about the Chelsea Fancast, don't you? Say, yeah, my Chelsea Fancast, he says. It's all right. The others are a bit stupid, but I'm all right.
But no, if you do type in Chelsea Fan Channel on YouTube, and type in... For the reviews of Chelsea Newcastle, Adam will come up, and he's a really good kid.
You spell it Chelsea, Fancast. There you go, folks.
Or Chelsea Fancast.
Is he going to be a new cult figure then on the Chelsea
I'm
Fancast?
hoping that he comes back and sees me, because I just think he's just so great. It's great to see kids that actually know exactly. God, he's better than me, to be honest.
I only am aware of it through the tweets and the retweets that I saw, and a lot of people say, "Blimey, this kid knows his onions."
Is he going to be your Claude?
He was literally like that. I was talking to him. I was interviewing, and I was like. I completely agree. I didn't know what to say to him.
Did you put your arm around him when you did it?
Yeah, I was like...
How old is he?
How old was he? Oh, I can't remember now. I was just leant down.
I hope he's not an impressionable age. That's all I can say.
No.
Anyway, what?
Anyway, yeah, he was really, really good. So thank you for that.
My bad?
Stick to your psychology books.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, maybe I should apply them to myself, perhaps. No, that would take far too long. I'd just like to add to this, actually, the joy of doing this show with Sophie is that she's created her own little girl corner. You can't really see it in the bottom of your screen here. You see what you've got. She's got her carrots with her, and she's got her lippy with her. There we go. And she's got her iPhone. You know.
Oh yes, this is very. I need to interact with the people.
You didn't used to get that way when it was just me, Cheltel, and Dr. Marr. You would get a bag of carrots and a lippy.
Carrots and lippy are the new Strongbow and Doritos.
I think I'll pass on the carrots. Thanks all the same.
Good.
Right now, in this part, we're kind of a roundup of what's been going on in the whole Chelsea world this week. With a bit of transfer rumour and all sorts of other news. But I think, first of all, we really got to talk about the thing we were actually talking about in the salary moment a minute ago, which is the absolutely ludicrous, stupid FA charge for Jose Mourinho. Dan, I'm going to kick it off with you. Please explain to me why the FA have charged Jose Mourinho.
Managers are not allowed to talk about the performance of the referee after the game.
Why?
And
can we just say this very clearly? We need to say this very clearly and simply. Managers are not allowed to talk about referees after the game. That's what you said, yeah?
The performance of and there are certain levels they are and aren't allowed to cross. And the FA have, in their wisdom, decided that he has crossed those levels.
And how, Dan, has he done that?
Well, the FA will have to answer that, won't they, really? People have rightly said that during his diatribe against the campaign, he never pointed the fingers at referees.
Nope.
It was quite interesting. It's quite interesting. The following week, when he was drawn on this again, he actually turned to Steve Atkins, the Chelsea press officer, and said, "Steve, tell him what the company line is." And Steve had to trot out what the company line was.
What does Steve say?
Basically, there is a campaign. We don't know who it is. Maybe it's the media. No one mentions referees at this point. Now, if you look very carefully at what Jose said, there are some comments about referees, and I suspect...
But not in the same conjoined sentence.
I suspect there may be a little bit of a jigsaw being put together here. He will lose. He will definitely be found guilty.
But that's a given, because...
It's ridiculous.
You know, the I mean, for God's sake, if the FA can charge Jose Mourinho like they did last season for praising a referee, because they in their info, because they knew exactly what was going on in Jose's head, so they decided he was being sarcastic. Now, you can't prove whether somebody's being sarcastic or not. It's beyond proof.
But with Jose, there's a little tariff here.
But you can't prove that.
Jose's team draws a game that they're not supposed to draw, and all of a sudden he goes off on one. So Jose's team loses a game that they're not supposed to lose. He goes off on them big time. Jose's team gets absolutely humped by Tottenham in a game. Can I say that? I do apologise.
Humped is a bona fide word.
OK.
It's basically a shortened version of thumped.
And he creates an FA charge for himself.
I mean, you would as a manager get angry. I mean, for God's sake, some of the decisions. I agree with everything that Jose says when he talks about referees, whether he says their name or not. Like, he's well within his right to say something. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, the referees are so poor that even I would say something. I mean, they are so poor. I can't think of one that I actually think has a good game. They are all.
They're rubbish.
Well, it's not rubbish. They just don't know what they're doing. You know, you're the one who's right there in front of it. And even against, where was I sat for this one?
Stamford Bridge.
What was the last Premier League match before Watford?
Well, it was Spurs.
At home.
At home, it would have been West
Ham.
Ham.
West Ham game. I think it was this one. The linesman gave the decision, and the referee said no, and it was clear that the linesman was right, and it's ridiculous.
Just to widen this up a bit, Sophie and the Dans. I would say for almost as long as I've kind of come back to Stamford Bridge with the season ticket, which is now about 15 years. For the entire time, I've always thought that the refereeing performances that we get at home are shocking. We get more decisions given, and this has always intrigued me actually, because for the big clubs, the clubs that are like up there challenging for titles, they nearly always get homers. I mean, Man United, it was always laughable, the amount of decisions that they got at home. The number of penalties that Liverpool get at the Cop End, Leia. All the big clubs get the decision to go from. There is a counter-argument that says, but they tend to do more attacking, so they're going to get more decisions going for them, and I think that's a fair point. But I've always thought, in the 15 years since I've been back at the Bridge, that we get shocking decisions going against us and not for us at home. We get more decisions going for us away, and that's always been the case. So what I'm saying is, I don't think this is a recent thing, Jose. The campaign's been going for as long as I can blooming well remember, mate.
I just can't. I can't even.
Now you made me angry.
I mean, no, it's not that. We just get.
The ref under so much more scrutiny now because there's, like with the players, they're picked up from 25, 30 different angles. They're every game the decision's picked apart. They don't have the benefit of hindsight, replays, anything. So they have to make a quick decision. They are going to make mistakes. Not I'm defending referees. I think if you spoke to fans of other clubs, they may have the same opinion that they don't get the rub of the green.
But I think it's all right to make mistakes. It's just the level of mistakes they're making at the moment. It's just a bit extreme.
The argument is that the referee's chief is not doing his job, is it? Who's
Mike Riley.
Yeah,
he's a rubbish referee.
He's a rubbish referee. I mean, in the old days, you could name all the referees. They were good. You knew who they were. And now they'll just seem to be like 21-year-olds.
The thing that strikes me is that the ones you can name that you can remember are actually rubbish. Yeah. And so it's like all the good ones have either been retired or no longer do it. So you've been left. The old ones that have been left are rubbish. Phil Dowd being the obvious example, and the younger ones are just well inexperienced. I mean, I listened to Graham Poll on the radio on Talk Sport on Mondays on the Hawksbeat and Jacobs show, and it's really interesting to see what he says now. He's not a referee, and I mean, okay, I know there's a bit of entertainment going on, but he's quite often scathing about the younger referees' inexperience to make the right decision, which I think is a valid point. Anyway, what I really want to ask, I think this is one for you, Dan. What is the club's view, and is part of Jose kind of going into purdah to try and avoid him getting into more trouble? Because I kind of get a sense that they don't want Jose getting into trouble all the time because they don't like the image of the club being affected.
The turn of events on Thursday, actually, was last week, the day before he was due to give his pre-match press conference, was they announced he was doing the press conference. 35 minutes later, he was charged by the FA. 35 minutes later, they announced he wasn't doing the press conference. So that's, I think, a decision Jose has taken.
Is it a decision Jose has taken?
Yeah,
is it?
I think it is.
Not Steve?
I think it's very clearly Jose saying some rude words, and we're not going to deal with them. But Sophie was saying...
So hang on a minute. Jose's basically said, they can jog on. Those are the rude words.
Thank you.
I ain't doing it. If they're going to be like that, I'm not. I'm just, my ball. I'm going to play with, Blah,
this is only my speculation, but that's what I guess.
But it's therefore it's not Steve saying for your own good and for our own sake, we can't have you going up on the press after this charge because you are going to be drawn into saying something that will get you charged even more.
I could see why he would want to say that, but I think it's Jose's decision.
Okay.
Sophie was saying about you can understand why Jose lets himself get angered by these things.
Yeah.
I don't think he does. I really don't think he does.
Wow.
I was there at Southampton where he went to the press conference and he was absolutely steaming. I was standing by the door and he almost knocked me out with the door when he came out of it.
Really?
But he didn't let himself be angry. He made himself be angry. Everything he does with a purpose.
Wow.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm not... Whether Jose gets angry or not, I think whatever the game is, or not game, I don't know. But just in terms of referees, I just think that, much like the players do, I think they should go home, evaluate their performance, and then make it better, because they clearly don't do that. Because the amount of... the point I'm trying to make is, unlike other seasons, the referees are making decisions this season that are costing the game completely one way or the other, and it's just
I think
annoying.
just to remind you people out there, after the Chelsea FanCast, Sophie goes home after the Chelsea FanCast and she evaluates the performance every week.
I do.
That's why she comes back better and better. I mean, that's why,
And there's 2 points. The referees are never held accountable. They don't have a public forum to come out. And secondly, it's consistency, because I think Swansea manager said something very similar to Jose about a month ago, and nothing was done. They
I think it is one rule for Jose and one rule for the others.
I think the FA have got one rule and it's guilty, irrespective of...
Just to pick up on that, boys, I mean, do you think we get... I think I know what the answer for this is going to be, but do you think we get a fair rap from the FA, or Jose gets a fair rap from the FA? Picking up on Dan's point.
He is a loose cannon, to be fair, and he does come out with it an awful lot more than everyone else put together. It is the game he plays.
Yeah, which is deflection.
And I think he knows what he's doing. And I think he makes an actual conscious decision. If I say this, it's going to cost me this amount of money, and it's worth it.
All right.
Do you know if the club pays his fines actually come out of his...
No, he has to pay his own fine.
Okay.
He's not short of a bob or two. So
He does earn
no biggie.
£8.5 million quid
So
a year.
basically, I think we're all agreed that Jose's going to get probably about 15... I mean, they might take previous offences into consideration. He might end up with a biggie this time.
Are we worried about money? Are we worried about Jose's
I'm
coffers?
worried about him getting touchline bans.
No,
actually,
he won't get that.
Which is not, it's not inconceivable that might happen.
I'd be surprised if we're in that sort of realm of
All right.
stuff.
Well, he won't do that, because he's stopped talking. He's
I
gone
don't think
the
it's
opposite
that
way now.
serious.
All right, we've got about 5-6 minutes. We've got a lot to try and get through. We won't get through all of it, so I don't really care. But the first of all is some rumours this week on the transfer front. Oh, yes, it's that happy time of the year called the January transfer
It's very annoying.
window. Apart from one thing, Soph. There's
Yeah, go on
one
then.
thing in it all that is not annoying,
What's that?
and it's my article for
Oh.
IB Times this week, which is all on transfer window activity. It's like a wish list, which went out today, and even Ross said it was a great read. And if Ross says it's a great
I'm
read,
sure
on
it is a great
transfers,
read. No, do you know what?
I had to do some homework on it.
I get excited towards the last couple of days of it, not for the month. But I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really bother me who everybody else is signing. I'm really focused on our team this season,
Do you
and
know
we don't
what?
really have many changes to
I
make.
really can't. Everybody knows this who listens to the show. I can't stand the transfer window. I think it's an absolute load of nonsense.
I mean,
but hang
yeah.
on, there are a few rumours we should talk about.
Go on,
The
then.
first of which is Cech being
No.
rumoured to move to Arsenal or Rome.
In
Liverpool.
January?
Well, yes. Well, no. At the end of the season. I mean, basically, the way I've heard it is that the club are happy to let Cech go and really give him his head as a kind of it's like a, look, you've been good to us, so we'll be good to you type thing. Do you think it's what's going to happen? I mean, we had this conversation last time you were on about the injuries.
Cech is going nowhere in January. That's been confirmed.
That's obvious. Yeah.
End of the season, you'd have thought he might be going somewhere else. That's got to be highly likely.
It's Roma, Liverpool, or Arsenal at the moment.
Well, from what I know, I'd be surprised if Liverpool was an option.
God, I hope not. You think of the meltdown about Lampard? Blimey.
Do you think he'd get it?
I'd be physically ill if Cech went to Liverpool.
I see him going abroad, I think.
I hope so.
Cech enjoys living in London.
So yeah, Arsenal, brilliant, because they need a keeper.
Well, their home's quite a nice place, obviously.
I don't think he'd get. I don't think Cech, if he was to go to Arsenal, would get the negative attention.
No, I don't either.
that Frank Lampard's had. Just because I don't think we can fault him. He knows that we're moving on, and he's going to move on. To be honest. Oh, we'll go into Frank Lampard later, but...
No, we won't.
We won't.
I just think...
It's off.
He's clearly miserable over there. So.
Me?
No, not you.
Dan?
Cech's been giving us great service. Essentially, he's doing what Lampard's done. He's getting to a rival.
No, because I think the point that Sophie was trying to make is that the issue with Lampard is the lack of transparency.
Deception.
I think that's what's got given people the right raving hump.
Yeah.
See, it's an allowed
You
word.
can say that, right?
That's what's given people the hump. I think if it had been laid out clearly, there was no deal for Frank. There was no deal that was acceptable to Frank, actually, which I think is more accurate.
There was a deal for Frank.
There was a deal for Frank, but it wasn't one that he wanted. And I think had everybody known that and he said, well, OK, fair enough, I'm a free agent and I choose to go here because they want me, I don't think people would have liked it, but at least they would have thought, well, OK.
Yeah.
What worries me fundamentally about Cech going, particularly to Arsenal, is he will make Arsenal a better side. And whether you like it or not, peeps, they are still a bit of a rival and a bit of a threat.
I think.
I think Chelsea would have serious reservations about selling him to a team seen as a rival.
Well, there we go.
The question is whether or not you see Arsenal as a rival.
Well, I do still, even though they're shocking this year, but I do. I mean, you put Cech in that team, it's a better team tomorrow.
If you're going to end your career somewhere and you've played for a team as long... OK, let's face it, the main Chelsea legend would be Frank Lampard, Ashley Cole, Cech and John Terry. Like English, or whatever I'm trying to say. Ashley Cole's
European.
gone to...
Cech's practically English now, isn't he?
He is.
They're all English. Yeah. Ashley Cole's gone to Roma, did the right thing.
Yeah. He did, didn't he? Bless him.
John Terry's still with us, great. Cech has got a decision to make at the end of the season. I'm trusting to make the right one. And, I don't think Frank's made the right decision. However, we won't go into it, but I'm just saying that, there's a way to go about it.
I would, if Cech wants to go and still play at the highest level and thinks he can, then you can't stop him, and good luck to him. But I wish there was a way we could... accommodate him, because I still think that, Courtois may be good, but he's not quite there yet. And I think the benefit of having Cech around to teach him how to be as great as Cech has been would be fantastic. Right, we've got to move on very quickly, because I want to quickly talk about those idiotic Messi rumours. The way I read
it's so funny, really, now that he's
the way I read this, Dan, is one, we couldn't possibly buy him because... We just, we're under the rules and regulations of FFP, financial fair play, so there's no way we could spend the kind of money, which is anywhere between 500 million and $1 billion, depending on where you read it. So he is far too much money. We couldn't afford him. I don't think Barcelona can actually sell him because they're under a transfer embargo thanks to the FIFA ban that they've got. And here's the best one, and this is a proper Chidge one. Why would we want him anyway? He hates Chelsea. He's got on record hating Chelsea. I've got a long memory. I don't forget that kind of shizzle, man. I do not forget that. You are not welcome in a blue shirt whilst I support this club. And anyway, I'd rather have Ronaldo. He's much better than you horrible little Argentinian.
Just as well, Chidge, because he ain't coming.
All right, OK. So we sailed that one quite quickly, didn't we?
You say we can't afford him. No team can afford him.
No team can afford him.
No team governed by
Maybe
UEFA.
Man United?
No team governed by financial fair play can afford him.
But where are you going to put him? In this team we're trying to build...
You could probably fit him in your handbag. He's not very big.
But where realistically? Because you're going to have to drop who?
William. Oh, we could rotate him with William.
The only places he could possibly go would be somewhere like Qatar, North America, somewhere where they just basically have no rules on spending.
Right, very quickly, because we're running out of time to talk about Mika Richards. We've got time for just one more... Oh, that was a bit of a weird angle. We've got time for one more... there's a rumour about Schürrle going to Wolfsburg for 23 million quid. Is that likely or not?
In January?
Yeah.
They've said so far not. However...
Who have said so far not?
Oh, Jose, the club.
The club have said not.
I think January would be a big window for us.
The only reason I can see him going somewhere is if somebody else comes in. I think the end of the season is more likely.
Very unlikely. I hope not. We did the whole Schürrle thing to death last week, didn't we, Dan? And I'm a huge fan of Andre Schürrle, and as I said, for me... form is temporary, class is permanent, and I think we should stick with the young lad, young man, as Brian Clough might have said. He probably would have called him Andrea Shirley, wouldn't he, Cloughie? Bless him. But yeah, I hope that. Anyway, there's no more room for other news. Sorry, I might try and bring a bit back in the next part, and the next part is coming up very, very shortly after this very, very, very quick, beautifully formed break. We'll see you in a sec.